Hey everybody, welcome back. So this is part 2 of our takeout Chinese cuisine, and this video is going to be egg rolls. So I have my wok here. I put some oil in here. Now on this recipe, this step right here calls for you to put some scallions, some garlic, and some ginger. So you'd put that in, you'd mix it around, saute it for a few seconds, about a minute. But I don't have that stuff and it kind of gives me heartburn, so I'm going to skip that step and I'm going to go straight to the next step. And this step calls for cabbage, bell pepper, and some carrots. And it seems like a lot of cabbage. It might be a lot of cabbage, but it's going to cook down. So what we're going to do is cook this down. And just use what you have in your kitchen, guys. For the carrots here, all I had was this, baby carrots. So what I did was, I rinsed them off, and I took my potato peeler, and I peeled them. Well, I had a yellow bell pepper, so I added the yellow bell pepper in. And the last step, the last ingredient I should say for this is your ground pork. And I'm just cooking me some ground pork in another pan. I'm using a separate pan because I don't think I have any room to cook it in the wok since I have so much filling here. So I'm just going to continue to cook the ground pork while the cabbage is wilting down. And this may take a while for it to wilt down a little bit. And if you get the big pieces like you see, like this one here, just break it up. It'll break up. Just give it a little pressure with your cooking utensil, whether it be a spatula or wooden spoon, whatever you're using. Just break everything up. Mix it all around. And you will also need soy sauce, some oyster sauce, sesame oil, and some sugar. So we're going to continue cooking this. And it's already shrinking in size. I don't know if you could see that on camera. So when I first put it in, it was pretty high up towards the top of the wok. And little by little, it'll shrink down. So I'm going to let that cook some more. I'm going to come to my other pan. Continue cooking my ground pork. I'm starting to get a nice brown color here. In part 1 of the videos, the first video I made on this Chinese takeout was the General Chicken. And if you guys watched that video, this is in between letting the chicken marinate and deep frying it. It's still marinating, so in between that time, I'm going to come and do the egg rolls, and that'll give that chicken enough time to marinate. When I'm done with the egg rolls, I could finish cooking that General Chicken. Make sure you check out both videos. Don't forget, leave me a comment Let me know if you guys try it and how it came out. Like it, share it, tell your friends to come and subscribe. And I'm no professional chef. I just cook what I like. If I don't have all of the ingredients, well, I either don't add that ingredient or I substitute it with something else. Cooking isn't about exacts, it's about what you like. What's your flavors that you enjoy to eat? And I know me and my family have been craving Chinese. So here I am. I've made this recipe a few times, so I could say I'm confident enough to share it with you now. Starting to get that cabbage scent in here now. It's starting to cook. You can smell it. And if you have scallions and ginger and garlic, that would go in here. That's what you would cook first. Browning it up. Got a nice brown color. I'm going to continue cooking it just a few more. Just a few more, a little bit longer. And I tell you guys, if you guys try this recipe, your family's going to walk in the kitchen and ask you what that amazing smell is when you do Chinese. They are going to love it. Guaranteed. And you don't have to use a yellow bell pepper. You could use red, you could use orange, whatever you want. You could use red and yellow and orange, and you'd have a whole variety of color going on here, and oh, that'll look beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to let this cook down for a little bit longer. And you can already see how much it's shrinking again. It was way up here when we first started, way up here. Now we're already about half of the wok now. Let's see. Here's that ground pork. I'd say that's about done. So I'm just going to leave that over there on the other burner, turn the heat off, and just cook this down just a little bit more. And if you don't have a wok, use the biggest pan that you have. It'll work. You don't need to have a wok to make Chinese food. You could cook it in a regular pan and it'll come out just fine. I just use the wok because it's the biggest pan I have. Break that chunk up. If you're wondering how much cabbage I used, this is about half a head. Half a head of cabbage is what I'm using right here. And chances are it's going to probably be too much for the amount of egg roll wraps that I have. But it works. You could eat it as like a salad, and egg roll salad probably, and be just as good. Or if you're cooking this a little bit before dinner and your family gets a little hungry because it smells so good, give them a little bit of that stuffing. And here's the egg roll wraps that I'm using. This is the only thing that I found at the store. If you guys have a Chinese grocery store, Asian grocery store where you live, I'm sure you could find all kinds of different stuff. Look at that. Looks amazing. Alright, so my ground pork is done. I'm just going to mix it in here. Mix this all around. And that'll help that cabbage wilt down a little more from the heat of that ground pork. Boy, this is a lot of mixture that I have here, but it'll be alright. Look at that. Looks amazing. So that looks good. I'll take a little piece of this cabbage and still a little crispy. And if you like your cabbage a little crispy, you're done right now. So I'm going to let this cook for a few more minutes. I'll be back in the video and show you what's next. Alright, I'm back. I've let this cook about another 2 minutes. It's fine, it's cooked enough. When we put it in the egg roll wrap, it'll steam vegetables even more. And if you want to cut your cabbage into long, thin strips, go for it. That'll work just as fine too. So now that we're at this step, now comes soy sauce, and get ready because your senses are going to be overwhelmed. Your sense of smell is going to love you and thank you for this. Got some soy. As much or as little as you want. Oyster sauce. Don't add too much of this, just a dollop or two. 2 dollops of oyster. So that is very pungent flavor, and if you put too much, your senses are going to know that. And just a splash of sesame oil. Okay? Not too much sesame oil. The reason we do this at the end is we'll turn off the heat and we'll just let it sit for a second while we get our egg rolls ready. And finally, some sugar. And what the sugar is going to do, it's going to offset that sesame oil and that oyster sauce. And it helps balance everything out. And what we just did was add layers. We layered it here. You know, we had the vegetable, one layer. We had the meat, one layer. And now we had our seasonings. And we're just layering the flavor on here. Oh, and if you could smell this kitchen right now. This smells like your local takeout. Your local Asian takeout. Smells amazing. Okay. So we got that. I'm going to take it off the heat. I'm going to get my egg roll wraps ready. Get my grease ready. And we'll be back. Alright, so we're back with our egg roll filling. Still nice and hot, still steaming. So what you want to do is get your egg roll wraps and get you a cup of water, or you could use some egg wash. I'm just going to use water. So what we're going to do is get a nice bit of egg roll stuffing. Okay. Gonna fold the ends in. Okay. You can do that. Now's here where you get your water. And what the water does is acts like a glue. And it'll hold these two ends together. You want to get it as tight as you can. That way when you deep fry it, none of the stuffing comes out of the sides. Okay, so I'll do one more for you. Get your egg roll wrap. Get you some filling. Okay, all to the middle. And if you're good at rolling, try to get it as tight as possible. It may take some practice. Okay, shove that filling in if you need to. And there's a second one. Okay, so I'm going to finish rolling these, and then I'll come back and we'll deep fry these. Alright everybody, we're back. Here's all the egg rolls. Cleaned out my wok. We ended up with about 18 egg rolls. They're about 4 inches long. Got my grease heated up, and these things are gonna cook so fast. Sorry, I'm trying to do two at once here. So fast. These might be cooked a little much, but that's why we do this. You guys could see with me here. Let me take these ones out right away. So if you do this recipe and your grease comes up to heat, just know you're gonna have to move fast. Okay, maybe I'll just do two at a time. I have two hands available now, so I'm able to see that. Look how fast these bad boys cook, so fast. Okay. And I would say about that brown right there, that color, I'd say that's done. Taking them out of the pan is the hardest part. do a couple more for you guys, and then I'll go off camera and finish cooking the rest of them. And you can see how fast they cook. It says to deep fry them. If you have something to deep fry them in, you'll be able to submerge the whole thing and cook them all at once. But if not, just add a little bit of oil and you just cook half at a time. Just be careful, because grease is hot and it is dangerous. I'd hate for you guys to hurt yourselves. Or start a grease fire if you get your grease too hot. This grease is about 350. And oh man, they smell so good now. These egg roll wraps smell amazing. See, so the first two, probably had my grease too high. I turned the grease down now. I had it up high so I could bring my grease up to temperature. So it got real hot. I turned it down. And now you can see they're cooking so much better. Check that out. Oh man, look at that. That looks amazing. Alright, well I'm going to finish cooking these off camera. I'll come back to show you the finished result. Thanks. Alright everybody, I'm done. Here's the finished product. These ones right here were the first three that I put in where the grease was a little hot. And they don't feel burnt. I mean, it's a little brown, not bad. I had one bust open on me when I wrapped it, so I did that one last, and when I cooked it, you can see it kind of caramelized all the vegetables on the inside. Not too bad. What do you think? Give it a shot. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to finish doing the general chicken now, since I have grease and it's still hot. So go back and, or if you haven't yet watched that video, go check it out. And if you have watched that video, well, I guess you already know how that turns out. Thanks again. Bye.